Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. In this video, I want to show you my honest review, and I hope I will be able to highlight all the pros and cons of this product. So let's begin.
Mr. Johnson, I'm afraid you have less than 3 weeks until your medication and insulin shots will be totally useless for you. The news has made me fall to my knees. I started crying my eyes out. I was in shock. Why would this happen to me? I have done everything right. I took the medication the doctor prescribed, did my insulin shots, constantly monitored my blood sugar, ate exactly what he said, and completely changed my life to be able to manage my type 2 diabetes. And for what? After all this effort, after all these years, my diabetic body was starting to rapidly shut down. I was a fool for believing all the lies they said about how one could manage the type 2 diabetes and live a normal life. In fact, I was straight up lied to. I never believed that all of a sudden the disease would escalate so quickly to completely shut down one kidney, make me lose feeling in my feet, and start losing my sight. But later on, I found that tens of thousands of type 2 diabetic sufferers from all over the country, men and women alike, are going through the exact same experience that I did. I felt like I was on a roller coaster speeding downhill, that I couldn't stop. And what the doctor said next made me lose even the last drop of hope I had left. There's nothing else I can do for you. I'm sorry. And then, with no feeling of compassion, he turned around and left me standing there like I was nothing. I felt mixed feelings of fear, anger, resignation, all at once. Oh, how I wished at that moment to have a magic crystal ball to see what was going to happen to me. But maybe it was for the fear of losing my loved ones, not seeing my sweet niece growing up, leaving my wife alone, or the fear of death that gave me faith and strength to do the impossible. That's when I began this journey where I discovered the real truth about type 2 diabetes. And in the next 5 minutes, you'll discover why the pancreas and the insulin production are not responsible for type 2 diabetes. Facts confirmed by studies from the Mayo Clinic School of Medicine, Cornell University, and Columbia University. And that 80% of all sugar production in the body occurs in tissues that are not affected by insulin, making the insulin shots totally useless in reality. You'll find out how doctors and big pharma are trying to keep you sick by making you believe that type 2 diabetes is just manageable and not 100% treatable, like I'm going to prove to you today. Hi, my name is Gregory Johnson, and here I am 1 year later, my blood sugar constantly under 100, eating steak and pie, drinking wine, and not taking a single diabetes pill or insulin shot. And my blood tests, 100% perfect. Better than in my 20s. No trace of type 2 diabetes, as if I never had it. Sounds incredible, right? To be honest, I did not think I could pull this off. But I guess God had greater plans for me, and the doctor telling me I would die in 3 weeks was a wake-up call I needed. And in this presentation, I'll reveal the shocking reasons why everything you know about managing type 2 diabetes is dead wrong, and how I almost ended up in jail for fighting for type 2 diabetes. You'll discover a shocking study buried by Big Pharma that proves conventional diabetes medications may kill you faster than the disease itself. The results were so controversial that the study had to be stopped immediately, because so many type 2 diabetics were dying due to these medications. You'll also find out why some doctors are no longer prescribing metformin, after they realized that a surprising number of patients started to get sick after taking it, and even developed other deadly diseases not connected to type 2 diabetes. You'll also discover why using insulin to deal with type 2 diabetes is a short-term solution, because the disease is actually caused by an infection which makes your blood sugar go haywire. And last but not least, you'll find out how a completely natural method, something that has already been medically proven to work in more than a dozen clinical trials, successfully used by 41,493 people and counting, that actually has nothing to do with insulin production whatsoever, may completely and effectively combat type 2 diabetes in as little as a few weeks from today. Even if your blood sugar levels are off the charts, or you've had the disease for decades, and whether you're 9 years old or 90 years old, this breakthrough of the century can eliminate the need for painful, scary insulin shots, side effect-filled oral medications, and severe dietary restrictions that have turned eating food into a lifelong chore instead of something you enjoy. Incredibly, All it takes is a few simple things you can do right now from your home. Things that cost almost nothing. Stay with me till the end of this video presentation because I'll show you exactly how to address your type 2 diabetes. Imagine how it would feel to eat more of the delicious foods and drinks you're currently being told that you have to avoid. Finally be able to make type 2 diabetes part of your past. Now, I'm going to show you exactly how to use the method that I'm talking about right inside this brief video. And I'll also give you the medical research that explains the reasons why this works. But before I do, let me go ahead and address the elephant in the room, because you're probably wondering how any of this is possible, right? After all, you've probably always thought of your diabetes as a life sentence, something you can manage but never fully eliminate. You've probably always felt like the daily needles or the nausea-inducing medications or the dictatorial diets were essential. You may have even accepted that, as terrifying as it is, you're statistically likely to die 10 years earlier than a person who doesn't have type 2 diabetes, leaving your children or your grandchildren to fend for themselves, and to look out into the audience at their high school or college graduation and see the empty chair where you should have been sitting on. So if you're feeling skeptical or confused by what I'm saying right now, I completely understand. In fact, so are a lot of the 41,493 people who have already used this method I'm about to share with you, until they tried it for themselves. Devin from Twin Falls, Idaho, who writes, "Hearing that I can completely eliminate my type 2 diabetes in less than a couple of weeks flew in the face of everything I've been told. I've been a diabetic for more than 8 years now, and the doctors have always said that this was a lifelong sentence, something I could manage but never destroy. I can't believe the results. Within the first weeks, my blood sugar reading had gone from an average of 330 to 120, and I was actually eating more carbs, starches, and finally enjoying my food. Thank you so much for sharing this with me. I think every single American suffering from type 2 diabetes needs to know about this." And Eric from Kansas City, Missouri, who says, "I've been type 2 diabetes free now for 3 months, and it's all thanks to you. I still can't get over how simple following this plan you shared in the presentation was. The plan you shared was life-changing. I followed your advice, and my blood glucose levels haven't been over 130 in months. I have my life back, and it's all because of you." And Jason R. of Stillwater, Oklahoma, who writes, "After watching your presentation and seeing the science you presented, I was mad. I couldn't believe that I'd been lied to for so many years, when the secret to treat my type 2 diabetes had been sitting right in front of me. But I will say this, the anger turned to pure joy as I started doing what you shared with me and received the incredible news from my absolutely shocked doctor that there was no longer a single sign of my type 2 diabetes in my body. Who could be angry about that? Now, given the extremeness of what I'm telling you, I'm sure you're going to want to know who I am and how I know all this. Like I said, my name is Gregory Johnson. I'm an independent scientific researcher and frequently paid consultant to some of the nation's prestigious academic institutions. I've spent every single moment of my professional career researching one single disease, type 2 diabetes. You see, for me it's personal. My father had been a type 2 diabetic since he was a child, and he had ignored the swelling and numbness in his foot for years, when he should have been taking care of it. And because of that decision, it eventually got to the point where everything below his ankle is nothing but useless, rotting flesh. Which is why they took the saw to him. Now, you may be thinking, this is extreme, and in many senses it was. But even today, type 2 diabetes remains the #1 cause of amputation both in the United States and around the world. And when I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in 1985 at the age of 13, the only thing I could think of was the stump where my father's leg had once been. And now I could do everything in my power to not end up like him. So from 7th grade on, my entire life became an obsession over finding a solution for diabetes. I received my undergraduate degree from Stanford, where I studied biology and graduated with magna cum laude, an award reserved for top students. In medical school, I studied human diseases and graduated in the top 10% of my class. And even on my weekends when I should have been relaxing, I spent every waking hour researching the causes and potential cures of a devastating disease that affects more than 29 million type 2 diabetics and 79 million pre-diabetics in the United States. To anyone looking from the outside, it would seem like my hard work was paying off. I was published left and right, I was nominated for all sorts of awards and grants for my contributions to the field of human pathology. I even got offered a position as a tenured professor at the age of 35, which is unheard of. But even though I appeared to be successful on the outside, inside I was becoming incredibly frustrated. You see, what I began noticing was that all of the university research money out there, along with all the academic studies and even all the papers that were getting published, were about finding ways to help diabetics manage their disease. At first, that might not sound like an issue. After all, that's what type 2 diabetes medication is for, right? Well, the answer is yes, and that's exactly what the problem was. You see, what I realized is that the entire medical profession, both from an academic and corporate standpoint, was pumping billions of dollars into ways to keep diabetics like you and me on life support, because that's exactly what managing your type 2 diabetes is. It's constantly monitoring your blood sugar levels, taking the oral medications or insulin shots, and following an incredibly restrictive diet that turns you into a lettuce-eating rabbit, with the ultimate goal of helping you survive another day. And the question that was keeping me up at night, and that I couldn't get out of my mind no matter how hard I tried, was this: why are we only focusing on managing type 2 diabetes instead of trying to find a cure? Something that allowed you to not just survive, but thrive. And that would effectively reduce your blood sugar back to normal, healthy levels without the use of medications or ridiculously harsh diets. So I began digging deeper. I spoke with my academic colleagues. I started investigating the experimental type 2 diabetes medications that the pharmaceutical industry giants were currently working on. I began asking questions I wasn't supposed to ask. And when I finally put it all together and realized what had been in front of me all along throughout my entire academic career and all my research and all of my life's work, I felt like an idiot for not realizing it sooner. You see, it is my deep belief that the pharmaceutical companies pump tens of billions of dollars a year into making sure your type 2 diabetes is never cured. They have absolutely zero interest in getting you off these medications or insulin shots. And this is true even if you're not currently one of their customers and you're just following a strict eating plan right now, because they know eventually type 2 diabetes always wins. And whether it's tomorrow or 10 years from now, your body will begin breaking down and you'll come crawling over to them with open palms while they give you needles to push into your stomach or pills to stuff down your throat. Think about it. The average diabetic is worth more than $14,000 per year to the pharmaceutical companies. Type 2 diabetes medication is a $245 billion a year industry. That's billion with a B, $250 billion. And you can be damn sure that they would sooner have you die than give up that kind of money. It made my blood boil. I had been so blind, and it made me sick to think that I was partly responsible for their disgusting business practices, because I realized that Big Pharma controls everything that's being done in the field of diabetes research. That the major pharmaceuticals are actually the top contributors to academic type 2 diabetes research, and that because they have the cash, they're the ones making the rules, which meant making sure that we little worker ants with our fancy titles and prestigious medical degrees and hundreds of millions of dollars in research funding never realized that all we were doing was spending our lives helping the corporations make massive profits, instead of helping real, everyday people like you and me get better. That's why last year I did something radical. Something that probably could have gotten me thrown behind bars, but that absolutely had to be done. I laid down the law to a small scientific research team I was being paid to consult with, and told my team that instead of performing more meaningless research that would do nothing but make the pharmaceutical giants several $billion in extra profits, they would change the world by putting every single ounce of energy into finding a real working treatment for type 2 diabetes. At first, they thought I was nuts. After all, why should they listen to me? But as I explained to them, I wasn't being hired as a consultant to just sit around and watch them diddle around. I'd been hired to direct their research. And the reason I'd gotten this job was because my decades of research, my demonstrated expertise in the field, and my widely publicized professional accomplishments. Plus, I also had an ace in the hole. I made sure the agreement I signed with the institution that hired me allowed me to have entire creative control over the project, which meant that even if the scientists were uncomfortable with going against the status quo, they really had no choice but to listen to me. It was thrilling but terrifying. If Big Pharma discovered that we were using their own money to destroy them, they would come after us with every single penny they had. But all I could think about was the stump where my father's foot had once been, and how tired I was of having to take insulin shots for my type 2 diabetes, and oral medications for my cholesterol and circulation, and of being over-medicated slave to my disease. So we set work on a year-long journey that would eventually lead to the discovery of the natural and clinically proven method for effectively treating even the worst cases of type 2 diabetes. And I want to tell you all about it today. You see, historically, all type 2 diabetes researchers and medications have been focused on either stimulating insulin production in the pancreas or breaking down the sugars in your bloodstream. The reason for this is that the majority of the body's insulin is created in the pancreas. That insulin is what causes sugars to leave your bloodstream and be absorbed into your body. As a type 2 diabetic, you struggle with high blood sugar because either your body stopped producing that insulin, or the blood sugar in your body has become resistant to the insulin you do produce. So the consensus in the academic and pharmaceutical world had always been that we needed to either help you produce more insulin or help your body break down the blood sugar levels in some other way. In a sense, this approach works. People with type 2 diabetes now live longer than ever before, and it's possible to manage your blood sugar levels with mediocre success. And while those with type 2 diabetes used to die 20 years earlier than those without it, they now die only 10 years earlier on average. But on the other hand, this solution is really no solution at all. Forcing your body to temporarily produce more insulin, or to take pills that destroy glucose while also depleting other essential nutrients that are vital to your health. It keeps you on life support, but it doesn't address the cause of your type 2 diabetes at the root. So the question I posed to my research team was this: what's responsible for those high blood sugar levels in the first place? In other words, all of the focus has been on the fact that glucose levels are high and your insulin isn't working, so they stay high. But what everyone seemed to be ignoring was the really obvious fact that it's not insulin that's the problem. It's that you have such high blood sugar levels in the first place. Because what causes type 2 diabetes is that your body is producing an excessive amount of sugar in the bloodstream that just floats around in your blood. Instead of focusing on insulin, like every research lab in the country had been doing for more than 3 decades, I persuaded this team of top scientific researchers to study how glucose, blood sugar, is produced in the body in the first place. In order to determine if this blood sugar production could be slowed down or even stopped, at first the research was slow, especially since we had to work in secret. But as we continued to extensively study the existing medical research about sugar production in the body, and as we spent millions of dollars performing our own experiments in the lab, we eventually came across an incredible discovery, something that had the power to change the way people across the world look at what type 2 diabetes is and how it can be successfully treated, and that holds the key to removing all traces of type 2 diabetes while naturally bringing your blood sugar levels down to non-diabetic levels within the next few weeks. At the same time we were performing our research, a revolutionary new study was being published by the National Center for Biotechnology Information. And in it, several top scientists made a startling and potentially game-changing claim. You see, they had spent several years studying how the human body works, and now had conclusive evidence that 80% of the sugar production in the body occurs in tissues that are not affected by insulin. Instead, this excess glucose is produced in the kidneys and the liver. And in both cases, this production occurs regardless of what you're eating or what your overall health is. Well, as soon as I read this, I knew that they were onto something. It just made too much sense. After all, think about it. Have you ever noticed how your blood sugar levels are higher in the morning than when you went to sleep the night before? If the answer is yes, have you ever stopped to wonder why this is? Because really, it doesn't make sense. You haven't eaten in 7 to 12 hours, so why would there be more sugar in your bloodstream? Well, the answer is that your liver and kidneys don't go to sleep when you do. Instead, they're constantly pumping out excess glucose on their own, completely independent of what your last meal was, which is why no matter how much insulin you're stuffing yourself with or how many pills you take, it's still a constant struggle to manage your blood sugar levels. So the implication of these findings were huge. After all, if 80% of all sugar production in the human body occurs in tissues that are not even affected by insulin, then using insulin to treat your type 2 diabetes is like using glasses to cure your poor eyesight. In both cases, the symptoms are masked, but the real cause is never addressed. And what my team realized is that if we could discover a way to reduce the amount of glucose or blood sugar being produced in that 80% of the body that was insulin independent, specifically in the liver and the kidneys, which produce the lion's share, then we could reduce a person's overall blood sugar dramatically, restoring it to normal levels, and thereby eliminating every single symptom of type 2 diabetes in the process. So like I said, this discovery was huge, but it was only half the battle. Because even though we knew what to do, we weren't sure yet about how to do it, which meant that it was back to the lab for more research and more tests. For 2 more painstaking months, we studied the tissue and cells that make up the human liver and kidneys. We dissected live samples and ran thousands of tests. We observed which proteins and enzymes seemed to be responsible for triggering sugar production in the liver and kidneys, and which ones seemed to be responsible for stopping it. And what we ultimately discovered was that in the end, there are just a small group of amino acids and enzymes that are exclusively responsible for all the sugar production in both the liver and your kidneys, which meant that if we could simply neutralize those tiny little biological factories in your body, then excess sugar production would be stopped at the source before it even had a chance to be released into your bloodstream in the first place. So all we had to do was find the organic compounds that, when introduced into the body, would enter the liver and kidneys and interact with those hyperactive glucose producers. And with that knowledge in our minds, we went to work testing thousands of different combinations of enzymes, amino acids, essential fatty acids, and proteins, sourcing them from rare plants. There were lots of back and forth. There were days when we thought we did it, but then the results would come up negative. It was like chasing our own tails. I was about to give up. Maybe it was the stress, the sleepless nights, or the anger that we were going nowhere that made me feel weaker and more tired with every day that went by. Even so, I didn't pay attention to it, but when one day I collapsed all of a sudden on the floor, I finally decided to see a doctor. He ran some tests and then gave me the news. Mr. Johnson, I'm afraid you have less than 3 weeks until the medication and insulin shots will be totally useless for you. I'm sorry, but you've reached the end of your rope. There is nothing else that can be done for you. Type 2 diabetes had shut down one kidney, made me lose feeling in my feet, and I was starting to lose my sight too. I've had diabetes since I was 13, but things got worse so quickly over the past few weeks. My body could not take it anymore. I thought it could not end this way. All the hard work, the sleepless nights, the struggle, the fear not to be discovered, the hope to help thousands of diabetics finally live happily. The idea of leaving my wife and daughter alone was killing me. There had to be a way. The image of my father appeared right before my very eyes. First, as I remembered him, healthy, happy, enjoying life to the fullest. My role model, and then defeated, sad, with no light in his eyes. A dead soul inside a struggling body. All because of the disease they said could be managed and kept under control with strict rules and lots of toxic medications. I pumped myself with 300 units of insulin to make my body last a little longer and went back to the lab. I felt that we were getting close until later that day. We finally received the results from our most recent test. and found that both the liver and the kidney tissues we were working with had reduced their sugar production by more than 95%. The feeling of excitement I experienced right then and there was hard to describe. I was shaking, my heart was racing. I was trying not to cry in front of my team members. Every ounce of hope in my body was praying that what we'd found really could be a completely unexpected way to treat type 2 diabetes. But I had to be sure, because this one test could have been a fluke. So we immediately tested this recently discovered formula on more than 300 live samples. And as in every single case, the blood sugar production in those samples was cut by at least 80%, usually closer to 90%, which is when it finally became clear to me that after more than a year of non-stop tireless work, my lab had found the key to eliminating high blood sugar and completely reducing all signs of type 2 diabetes in the human body. My team and I analyzed the nutritional makeup of hundreds of different fruits and vegetables, and after more than 20,000 hours of combined work, 700 tests on live liver samples, and more than 1,400 nutrients tested, I can finally share with you how type 2 diabetes can be tackled. To fight type 2 diabetes, you need to, step 1, regulate glucose production to stabilize blood sugar. Glucose production is abnormally increased in people with type 2 diabetes. As we discovered, the excess glucose is produced in the kidneys and the liver, so we first had to address this life-threatening issue before anything else. That's why we started with rhodiola, which is a plant that we sourced from the wild Arctic regions of Europe. Our intensive studies showed that this plant can help in effectively managing diabetes by increasing the number of so-called glucose transporters in the blood, lowering blood sugar. Lemon balm, which we source from the Mediterranean basin, is another powerful plant that reduces blood sugar and insulin resistance, increases insulin production, and blocks inflammation. There are more than 1,000 species of lemon balm, and we tested all of them to discover that only one, Aria lemon balm, has the strongest anti-diabetic effect. Hawthorn is considered the oldest known medicinal plant in Europe. This is packed with flavonoids and other components which work together to lower blood sugar and reduce insulin resistance. Step 2. Reduce the inflammation inside the body to treat the damage done by type 2 diabetes. Inflammation inside the body triggers life-threatening diseases such as type 2 diabetes. That is why it was crucial that we address this issue to stop the progression and damage done by type 2 diabetes. We achieve this by adding to the supplement chamomile, vitamin C, and valerian. They all have powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, also reducing cholesterol levels, triglycerides, and free fatty acids, all responsible for inflammation and weight gain. Although you might think that chamomile is such a common plant found in all supermarkets, you should know that we use the most powerful variety called Moroccan chamomile. This variety is found only in Morocco, and it contains the highest concentration of matricin, a compound with powerful anti-inflammatory properties. Step 3. Break down deadly fat cells to make you lose extra weight. In type 2 diabetes, the body cannot remove the glucose from the blood, storing it in the tissues as fat. When insulin is taken as a therapy for type 2 diabetes, the body might absorb too much glucose from the food, which results in weight gain. This extra fat not only makes blood sugar levels even harder to control, but it also suffocates vital organs such as the heart, pancreas, liver, and kidneys. Therefore, these fat cells had to be destroyed to help the kidney and the liver return to normal functioning. After testing 347 ingredients, we saw that only 3 of them can successfully achieve this. One of them is potassium. Low levels of potassium in the body have been linked to insulin resistance and weight gain. The second one is St. John's wort. We discovered that this potent plant can cause early fullness, decrease sugar and starch intake, and help you lose weight fast. And the third one, Griffonia simplicifolia, which we have sourced from a certified pollution-free zone in Africa, we found that Griffonia simplicifolia is effective not only in lowering blood sugar, but also reducing body weight gain and fat deposits. Scientists discovered that 5-HTP, a chemical in this plant, reduces hunger cravings and increases the feeling of fullness, making you eat less and lose weight. Step 4. Flush out harmful toxins from the blood to boost the immune system. Over the past 50 years, the diabetes incidence has increased 7 to 10-fold. An important role in this increase is played by the harmful environmental toxins, specifically arsenic and dioxin. These two toxins disrupt blood sugar regulation, decrease the production of insulin, and block insulin receptor sites, leading to type 2 diabetes. That's why it's absolutely crucial to rid your body of these life-threatening toxins. We managed to achieve this by adding hops, a plant widely known for its use in beer production, but which also has amazing medicinal properties. We have undergone extensive research and discovered that the hops' bitter acids have antibiotic and antimicrobial properties, fighting toxins inside the body. Oat straw contains many nutrients, such as antioxidants, which make the plant a full body tonic and strengthens your immunity and builds energy. Recent studies also showed that oat straw can improve the white blood cells' bacteria-killing properties. Step 5. Lower blood pressure to healthy levels to prevent life-threatening heart and brain diseases. When combined with type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure can dramatically increase the risk of heart and brain diseases. Also, high blood pressure can lead to complications of type 2 diabetes, among which kidney disease and diabetic eye disease. To make sure your blood pressure will always be within normal limits, we added 3 powerful ingredients. Magnolia, which has more than 250 ingredients in its leaves, flowers, and bark. We analyzed all of them and found that only 2 compounds, magnolol and onicol, have the ability to lower blood pressure and improve your heart health and protect the brain from damage. Zinc. It has been shown that zinc levels that are lower than normal can contribute to high blood pressure by altering the kidney's process of processing sodium. Zinc deficiency is frequently seen in people with chronic illnesses such as type 2 diabetes. Bacopa is a plant which we source from the purest waters in Australia. It contains powerful compounds called bacosides, which can keep the blood pressure within a normal range. It does this by dilating blood vessels, therefore improving the blood flow. Step 6. Bulletproof yourself against type 2 diabetes and boost energy levels. Type 2 diabetes and its secondary complications can drain you of energy, stamina, and the will to enjoy life. So we found a way not only to naturally bring your blood sugar levels down to non-diabetic levels, but also bulletproof you against type 2 diabetes and increase your energy levels so you can fully enjoy a healthy life again. So we added biotin, which is known as vitamin B7. It regulates blood sugar levels and prevents insulin resistance. The vitamin metabolizes fats, proteins, and carbs, efficiently turning them into energy that your body needs to function properly. On top of that, biotin also boosts the health of your hair, skin, and nails, increasing your self-confidence. Magnesium is also another important compound in the supplement. It has strong antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, also playing an important role in blood sugar regulation. Magnesium also regulates thyroid activity, which may improve your energy levels. We used all the resources to gather these ingredients from the purest areas in the world, such as the fertile plains of India and western China, the Alps mountains of Europe, and from the best plantations in South Africa, Ethiopia, and Kenya. Overwhelmed, I immediately turned myself into a human lab rat so that I could try what we discovered on myself. After the first days, my blood sugar level was a little lower, but nothing near what I was hoping for, which made me nervous, but I stuck with it, and I kept praying that this would work or else. And soon enough, something remarkable happened. My blood sugar levels had dropped dramatically from 270 to 160. The following days, that number was 151. The days after that, it was 143, and on it continued to drop until soon enough, my blood sugar level was sitting at an even 100. It was amazing. I simply never would have dreamed that I could reduce my blood sugar level so drastically, and in such a small period of time. There the readings were, right in front of my eyes. So I decided to start reducing both my oral medications and my insulin shots to see if the significant drop in my blood sugars would stay the same. And as I started taking lower and lower dosages of the drugs, even after I stopped taking my medications and insulin shots for more than 2 weeks, and even as I started taking my readings every few days instead of 4 times a day, my blood sugar level stayed right there at a constant 100. Emboldened, I began adding more sugars, carbs, and starches to my diet. I figured that since the formula I was using would destroy all the excess sugar in my body anyways, that if I would introduce many of the foods I loved back into my diet, cornbread, hot pasta, a refreshing can of Coca-Cola, you name it, would actually probably be a healthy thing for me to do. And sure enough, I was amazed to discover that even though I was suddenly eating all of these no foods, my blood sugar level was still staying right there, right at an even 100. Well, you can probably imagine how incredible this feeling of relief was. To wake up each morning and know that you wouldn't have to take a single blood sugar reading or pop any oral medications that were apparently working but that make your stomach turn. Or to ever look at a dripping insulin needle again and mentally prepare yourself to be stabbed, and to be able to reduce all these other pills you were taking, things to lower your cholesterol or blood pressure, or for your heart, while saving you thousands of more dollars per year in insurance copays. My doctor was in utter shock when I went for my checkup. It was as if he was seeing a ghost. He said to my face that he expected me to be dead and buried by now. When the blood test results came back, he said that the lab must have made a mistake and sent them back only to return the same. It was like my blood sugar problems never existed. He said that something like this is impossible. Now that I knew the formula worked, we had to share it with the world. We have worked day and night to create a natural solution that would help thousands of people with type 2 diabetes. I did not care if I would lose my career, have my license revoked, or go to jail. This was beyond everything else. So we used the rest of the research money we had to source all the rare and purest ingredients we needed to create the right formula. We bought some time tricking the management with various discoveries we had made that were in their interest while working behind their backs to achieve the supreme goal. And after 3 long and tiring months, we finally managed to come up with the perfect formula. Now I knew this was safe because all the natural fruits, vegetables, and plants we added in it. And I had seen the amazing results myself. Even so, we wanted to make absolutely sure that this unique formula would work for everybody. So the following months, we began running extensive clinical trials, and I was thrilled to see that the results we were getting back reflected exactly what I'd experienced. In fact, even as I collected more and more data and shared this formula with dozens, then hundreds of other people, folks whose type 2 diabetes range from mild to severe, and whose ages range from 7 to 89. Every single person who tried this saw their blood sugar levels drop to normal in just a couple of weeks, without taking their medications, and reintroduced carb and starch-rich foods, things like cheeseburgers, milkshakes, and even mashed potatoes back into their diets. It was the breakthrough of the century. And I knew that my team and I had to do everything in our power to start sharing the formula we created with as many Americans as humanly possible. But that was easier said than done. We could not let the big pharma find out about this. They would do everything in their power, both legally and by less savory means, to make sure our research never saw the light of day. Well, to be sure, it was extremely discouraging, but I wasn't about to give up. I thought about my father, and the shame he felt every time people saw him attach that bulky prosthetic to the stump where his foot had once been. I thought about my own suffering, the shots, the constant management, the feeling that I was never free, the shock when I was given only 3 short weeks to live. And I knew that it was my absolute moral duty to share this formula with deserving Americans across the country just like you. I had the formula. I knew that it worked. I only had to find a CGMP facility where to create this amazing supplement and start sharing it with the world. I contacted an old friend of mine who had a small natural pharmaceutical company in Arizona. He was more than glad to help me in the endeavor. I also used my scientific connections to gather all the rare natural ingredients from the remote locations all over the world. It was the most difficult part to do, because the market is filled with counterfeit, cheap knockoffs which are sold as natural ingredients. But we contacted only certified producers and verified suppliers, and we made sure that for our supplement we only used top quality ingredients with 100% effective properties and no secondary side effects. We worked day in and day out, testing hundreds of ingredients, finding the most effective ones, and making sure we got the right quantities and combination for the best results. We called it Gluco Shield Pro, the only natural supplement which addresses the real cause of type 2 diabetes, the excess glucose produced in the kidneys and the liver. More than 41,000 diabetic and pre-diabetic patients of all ages and diagnosis, ranging from mild to extremely severe. People would have found this hidden site by way of a well-meaning friend or the recommendation of a rogue family physician who was willing to take a stand and reject Big Pharma's blood money, have reduced their blood sugar to completely normal levels while being medically diagnosed as type 2 diabetes free. People like Aaron Goulding of Memphis, Tennessee, who writes, "I think like a lot of people, I was pretty skeptical about your presentation. It seemed almost too good to be true, and something I should have heard about before. But my situation had been desperate. My blood sugar levels kept getting higher, and the doctors were concerned that even the insulin shots were losing their effectiveness. So I decided to take a chance on this, and I thank God every day that I did. My doctors couldn't believe it when I went in for my next visit and had both my blood sugar levels and blood pressure of a healthy 25-year-old. Oh yeah, and I'm 68. And Marcus Palma of Smyrna, Georgia, who says, "For me, the best part about this supplement is the freedom of no longer having to check my blood sugar levels on a daily or even a weekly basis. Freedom from the terror of knowing that it was time for another injection. Freedom from looking into my 12-year-old son's eyes and knowing that I might not live to see his college graduation. What you've given me is priceless, and I'll forever be grateful." Or Kelly Allen of Lubbock, Texas, who recently emailed me to say, "After my 12-year-old son Michael was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, I began researching for any alternative option to help him get better. I did find a few programs online, but none of them made even the slightest difference in his health. Then I found your website, and even though I was worried, I was desperate enough to give it a chance. That was 6 months ago. The doctors don't even ask to see Michael anymore except for routine checkups because they know that he's 100% healthy and medically type 2 diabetes free. Thank you from both me and my young son. Gluco Shield Pro is only available from this website that you're on right now. Only for as long as it can remain up without Big Pharma shutting us down. And you get access to everything in the next 90 seconds. You'll be shocked to discover just how simple everything is. All you need to do is add the supplement to the normal foods you want to eat every day, and every single sign of your type 2 diabetes can be completely eliminated in just a couple of weeks from today. And that's just the first part of what Gluco Shield Pro can do. You will be able to eat whatever you want. Ice cream sundaes, french fries, chocolate chip pancakes, you name it. You'll see exactly how you can safely and easily start enjoying the foods you love again, while getting rid of all the medications and drugs your doctor and Big Pharma have been telling you for the years you must keep pumping into your body. No more specific bland foods. And a strict schedule. No more insulin shots. No more fear for your life. And your blood sugar levels will be maintained completely on autopilot, even as you toss those life-controlling medications you hate into the trash forever. Gluco Shield Pro is about getting your life back, which is why it should be pretty clear that my team and I believe that what we discovered and are presenting to you now is one of the most important scientific breakthroughs in the last 100 years. It's completely natural and completely side effect free. And it's your first and only real chance to effectively destroy your type 2 diabetes while returning the freedom you've been denied for months, years, or even decades of your life. Of course, that's not to say you couldn't keep taking other oral medications, things that help you fight glucose once it's already in your bloodstream, but the side effects such as the sick stomach, the low energy, the kidney damage, the high blood pressure and cholesterol will all require you to take even more medications with more side effects. They don't address the source of your type 2 diabetes at the root, and the second you stop taking them, your blood sugar levels will skyrocket right back to dangerous levels. It's the same thing with insulin shots. They're nothing but a temporary supercharge, but as soon as they wear off, it's time to inject yourself again, to look at that hopefully sterile needle dripping drugs from the end and push it into your flesh. For some people, you could just follow an ultra-restrictive diet. That's certainly not a bad idea, but don't you get tired of hearing no? As in, no, you can't eat that. No, that has too much starch or carbs. No, you can't order that off the menu. Plus, managing your type 2 diabetes through diet only lasts much longer. Eventually, there will come a point where your body breaks down, where the insulin production is so ineffective or non-existent that you'll be right back on the drugs. Then, there's the fact that all of these ineffective options are extremely costly. Between all of the medications, you're looking at a copay between $600 and $1,200 per year, or as much as $12,000 over the coming decade. It's about money you could be using to take the vacation of your dreams, or put your kids or grandkids through college, or live more comfortable in your retirement. None of those options are real options, and you already know it. So do I. Which is why initially my team wanted to set the price for Gluco Shield Pro at $399. That's far less than the cost of seeing even one specialist. Far less than what your copay will probably be in the coming few months, and far less than what you'll have to spend on seeing a dietitian, or follow some elaborate meal plan that turns your eating habits into a major hassle. Plus, that $399 is for a very effective treatment, not just a little band-aid that has to be ripped off and reapplied every single day. And given all this, $399 should seem like a steal to you. But, like I mentioned already, getting Gluco Shield Pro to you is not about me getting rich. If I wanted to do that, I could go take a job with Big Pharma right now and make more than $100,000 per year as a clinical research director. But I don't want their blood money. I want to help you truly get better. That's what this is all about. I wish this had existed when my father still had his leg. Maybe if it had, it would have saved him from the pain and humiliation that followed for the rest of his life. And it would have prevented me from seeing my body shutting down and leaving me only with 3 weeks to live. Which is why there's no chance I could even consider charging you $399 for this, or $299, or $199, or even $99. Instead, if you act today through the secret webpage you now find yourself on, and make the life-changing decision to fight your type 2 diabetes while breaking free from both the medications and lifestyle restrictions that have been keeping you in chains until now, my team and I decided to offer you a 30-day supply of this revolutionary product for just $69 a bottle. That's right, just $69. But wait, before you make your purchase, here's my recommendation on how you can maximize the benefits of Gluco Shield Pro. 1 bottle of Gluco Shield Pro will drop your blood sugar level to normal again, and your body will start using the insulin it produces more effectively. 3 bottles will help you lose weight, lower blood pressure, and help you enjoy the power of the rare ingredients we included in Gluco Shield Pro. But only 6 bottles of Gluco Shield Pro will allow you to fully enjoy your new body and life. You will be healthier, but also slimmer and feel younger. Your body will be bulletproof against type 2 diabetes. Your immune system will be stronger than ever before. All the harmful toxins will be eliminated from your body, making you feel rejuvenated, energized, happy, and optimistic. And all of this is because you will give Gluco Shield Pro enough time to work its magic. In one word, you will feel alive again. This 6-bottle package is also our customers' most popular choice. So if you're truly committed to finally get rid of your type 2 diabetes, then we recommend you take the 6-bottle package, which more than 24,000 people already did. Why not put a stop to type 2 diabetes once and for all? I want you to be as happy as the hundreds of other people who saw the amazing results of Gluco Shield Pro, and at the same time save as much as you can on your health investment. So I'm going to make the deal even sweeter, because I know how hard it is to live with type 2 diabetes and the fear that your doctor might give you frightening news at any moment. I've set up a discounted package system of 6 bottles of Gluco Shield Pro for you for only $49 a bottle, for a total of $294. The offer is for today only, for as long as supply lasts. You also get free shipping on us. Once we run out of bottles, the Buy Now button will not be active anymore until we make another batch again, which takes around 7 to 8 months at least. Click the 6-bottle package or any other package that you want below to secure your order. You may be saying, okay, let's give this a try and see how it works. How do I get started? This could not be easier. Simply click the button under the desired package and you will be taken to our secure checkout page. Enter the payment details, place the order, and in a few short days, you can start the journey to a new you. But you have to claim that new body right now. Say stop to type 2 diabetes and regain control over your life. Do not risk missing out on this opportunity forever. So that in less than 4 minutes from right now, it won't be long until you'll finally be able to say, I'm type 2 diabetes free. Gluco Shield Pro is 100% risk-free and guaranteed. Plus, because it is so vital that I honor my father, and help as many Americans as possible get their hands on Gluco Shield Pro immediately, your investment today will be covered by my 60-day ironclad guarantee. So, all you have to decide today is to try the supplement out by clicking the Buy Now button and test it out for yourself for 2 full months and watch how type 2 diabetes vanishes day by day, making you healthy, strong, and full of energy. More than 41,000 Americans just like you have already done the exact same thing. But if during these 60 days you're not happy with the results of Gluco Shield Pro, or your blood sugar levels only drop by 40% when you wanted them to drop by 50%, all you need to do is contact us and we will refund every single penny you spent on Gluco Shield Pro. It doesn't matter if you used up the entire bottle, we will still give you your money back. There is absolutely no risk, so think about it. If Big Pharma gets wind of this, it's only going to be a matter of time until they unleash their lawyers on us and spend millions or even billions of dollars to shut us down. So there is absolutely no time to lose. In as little as 30 seconds from now, you could be on your way to live the life you've wanted to for years. Get Gluco Shield Pro right now and effectively fight your type 2 diabetes. Take your blood sugar levels back to normal. Begin eating the foods you love, and throw out the expensive, side effect saturated medications that rule your life. All it takes is clicking the Buy Now button below. But you have to do it fast because this video presentation is almost over. And this website may not even be up when you return. So the choice is yours. Either go ahead and close out this window. That's your right, of course, and there won't be any hard feelings on my end. But just remember that later today or tomorrow or a week from now, as you're popping another pill you don't want to be taking, or staring at the long end of a needle that's about to be pushed inside of you, or ordering another salad because that's one of the things you can eat, aren't you going to think of this presentation and wish you had made the completely risk-free decision to try it for yourself? This is about your entire life. Even with all of today's medicine and science, the average diabetic will die 10 years earlier than someone who is type 2 diabetes free. So wouldn't you take so little of your time to add a decade back to your life? It's your decision, but I think you already know what needs to be done. So go ahead and click the Buy Now button that you see below this video now, and enter your payment details on the checkout page. I can't wait to hear your results. Still here? I understand. The information I just revealed to you is pretty shocking and flies in the face of pretty much every lie that Big Pharma and even your family doctor has probably told. Obviously, I can't make this decision for you, but what I can do is answer some of the most common questions I get asked, so that you have all the information you need to move forward. 1. So to start, you're probably wondering how it's possible that Gluco Shield Pro can effectively fight your type 2 diabetes, especially when you've been told forever that there isn't a cure. Well, what makes this program different is that it doesn't focus on insulin production whatsoever. It also doesn't focus on reducing sugar once it's already entered into the bloodstream. Instead, you are simply allowing your kidneys and liver to absorb a unique combination of the purest plants, minerals, and vitamins that, when introduced into your body at the right time, stop the little glucose production factories that are working around the clock to pump sugar into your bloodstream. In other words, you're stopping the problem at its source. Whereas traditional medications and diets are trying to deal with the problem after the fact. Or to use another analogy, you're essentially taking the bullets out of the loaded gun so that you can't fire in the first place, rather than wearing a bulletproof vest and waiting for the impact. 2. Next, you're probably curious why you've never heard about this before. Well, as I explained during the presentation, diabetes is a $245 billion per year industry. In fact, each year your personal diabetes is worth more than $14,000 to the pharmaceuticals on average. And that's $140,000 over the next 10 years. For this reason, they spend literally tens of billions of dollars each year to ensure that academic medicine and private researchers focus on medications that manage type 2 diabetes, not ones that cure it. 3. You might also be unsure of who Gluco Shield Pro works for, so let me explain. Because Gluco Shield Pro regulates glucose production at the source, it will work for anyone who has high blood sugar. This includes people with type 2 diabetes as well as pre-diabetics. 4. Next, you're probably curious about what happens once you click Buy Now. Once you hit the Buy Now button you see below the video, you'll go to the triple encrypted 100% secure checkout page. You just enter your payment information and that's it. You will receive your Gluco Shield Pro in a matter of days so you can enjoy its full benefits as soon as possible. 5. I'm guessing another question you might be wondering is, how long does it really take to get results? Well, this varies from person to person, as each body absorbs nutrients at its own speed. You should start seeing the first results within several days since starting to take Gluco Shield Pro. But remember, you will feel all the amazing long-term effects of Gluco Shield Pro if you take it for at least 60 days. You have to give it some time to fight something that had control of your body for months or even years. In 90 days, there will be no trace of type 2 diabetes and your body will be 100% renewed. This supplement has now been shared with more than 41,000 Americans just like you. And we've never had a case where the program didn't deliver those same results to them. 6. Let me give you again the terms of that guarantee that I mentioned. Because I want you to feel completely confident in your investment today, I'm providing you with a full 60-day money-back guarantee. Simply click the Buy Now button below and try Gluco Shield Pro out for yourself for the next 60 days. If you don't get the results I promise, or you're unsatisfied for any other reason, simply send an email to the address I'll give you and I'll give you a 100% refund. It should be clear that if I thought this wasn't going to work, there's no way I could make such an offer. But I do know this will work because a total of more than 41,000 people have already proven it. 7. Next to last, you're probably wondering how long Gluco Shield Pro will be available to the public. Well, I can't say explicitly, but I can tell you that we're seeing more and more visits to the site from Big Pharma. And that history shows us that they're not afraid to spend billions of dollars in legal fees to get something that threatens their very existence shut down. If you think about it, that makes sense. Wouldn't you spend $2 billion in lawyer costs to protect the $245 billion per year that you make? So in other words, if you're truly serious about addressing your type 2 diabetes, you need to take action immediately. 8. And finally, that brings us to the issue of how you take action and get Gluco Shield Pro for yourself. This one's easy. Simply click the Buy Now button below the presentation and try Gluco Shield Pro for 60 days with absolutely no risk. If you're unhappy for any reason, you'll be given a prompt refund. But that being said, I'm supremely confident you won't be asking for a refund because this program has been clinically proven to be effective for all people who are diabetic or pre-diabetic, even if their blood sugar levels often flirts with 300 or 400 or higher. So click the Buy Now button below, fill in your payment details and submit your order. I can't wait to hear your results.
Cool, right? Click the link in the description for my price discounted special.